what a beautiful day it is. It's Memorial Day. And I'm off again to Chardon to exchange a part that I got for my Taurus. It appears that one of the parts that I replaced on it is defective, and we're going to go and try to exchange it. And I thought I'd take a little bit different route to get there. It is like 80 degrees outside. Gorgeous day to be out on Old Red and head into Chardon. Not exactly what I'd prefer to be doing on the bike, but it's necessary. So we're heading into Chardon. Like I said, taking a different route. Mrs. Motomattman just got home from taking the Sporty out, and we were having conversations today about her going in, when we get the opportunity, testing out some different bikes. Not just different bikes, but different styles of bikes. It's one of those things she wants to do. It's one of those things, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I recommend to everyone. You know, just because the bike you have or the first bike you got was a certain type doesn't mean that and you love that bike and you think I've got the perfect bike for me. Doesn't mean it really is, because you don't know what you may be missing or how other bikes are to ride if you don't take the time to hop on and give them a try. You know, it's the reason why I've got a sport bike, sport tour, whatever you want to say, and I've got a dirt bike, and I've got the Sporty, and I've got the Maxim. You know, I've spent my life riding all kinds of different bikes, and there's a bunch of different bikes I still want to try. I've mentioned multiple times my desire to go out and give an electric bike a try. And there's several, like the Zero. I'd like to give the Harley Lavalier. I'm going to give it a try. Not going to just listen to what everybody has to say and look at the stat sheet on the thing and make my judgment on it. And then if I had the opportunity to ride one of the Damon motorcycles, I'd like to give it a try too. But no matter what, it's something that, you know, I encourage everyone to give everything a shot. I have no idea what she wants to try, and how serious she might be at some other kind of bike, but you don't know until you go out and test ride something. I mean, there are a lot of bikes that I like the way they look, and drool over them, but it doesn't mean that I'd actually like how they ride or how they deliver their power or anything. You know, there's some bikes out there that I have a good idea that I would probably like, based on things that I've obviously seen on YouTube, things I've read, but also, as you all know by now, I'm a big fan of the V4 engine. So there are a few bikes that fit in that category that I want to take a look at. The Aprilia RS-V4 and the Ducati V4 Panigale. I have a pretty good idea how I'm gonna feel about those, based on what I already know and what I've already experienced with the V4. farming horsies. Horsies out. But anyway, you know, just because a bike looks pretty doesn't mean you're gonna like it. Or just because everybody else talks about how great that bike is doesn't mean you're gonna like it either. You gotta give it a whirl yourself. Make up your own mind. Make your own decision. But again, what a beautiful day. Y'all can't hear it, but I got iHeartRadio 80 station going in my helmet right now. The outfield, I Don't Want to Lose Your Love was just on. Now I got Genesis popping on in my head. How awesome. Just absolutely awesome. Hope all of you all are enjoying your Memorial Day weekend, or at least your weekend. Just like I've said before, I don't know if this weekend means anything special to anyone outside the US. I have no clue. I'm kind of ignorant to it, and I have no problem admitting it. So, you know, Memorial Day, this is a Monday. In other news, it's pretty cool. NASCAR was racing at Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is actually in Concord, North Carolina. But they ran the Coke 600 last night, and Brad Keselowski won. But that was kind of cool. You know, to see sports out there, actually normal things happening again. Granted, there were no fans in the stands, so it was pretty weird seeing, you know, 100,000 empty seats, or whatever the number is. And it was also kind of weird not watching the Indy 500 and then the Coke 600. But it is what it is. You know, we'll take what we can get while all of this is sorting itself out, and you know, we figure out what the current new normal is. Hopefully in the future the new normal is exactly what the normal was in 2019. Now there's a car at the ball field, just one. I don't see people sitting underneath the gazebo. Those are softball fields that normally have people on them. That's one of those things that's kind of sad, you know, that I mean, it's sad that us adults can't do the things that we're accustomed to doing and we're used to doing and we want to do. But it's really sad that, you know, how this has affected the lives of the kids. You know, not just here, but around the world. I mean, you got to figure they look forward to all year long till school getting out and playing softball or baseball or soccer or swimming in the municipal pools and whatnot, and a lot of those are closed, and the kids not getting the opportunity to do that. Now the governor here did say that you could open the pools, but you had to be careful about the social distancing, you know, the 6 feet apart. Unfortunately, that becomes a little bit of a problem with a pool, so a lot of the pools have opted to remain closed. That old fire truck there. Different view of the square for y'all. taking a different road here through Chardon. I got to cut over to the road that you normally see me on, because that's where the auto parts store that I have to go to is on. But opportunity to see a little bit different side of Chardon. This is the side with most of the fast food restaurants on it. You see you got Hardee's over here, or Arby's over here, you got Burger King over here, a little ways up you got Mickey D's, you got the Taco Bell. So if the collab ever comes to Chardon, come on. So if the collab ever comes to Chardon, he can get his Taco Bell. Got a Sheets over here, a couple bikes at the Sheets. Come on, people. It's that long daggone skinny pedal. Mash the long daggone skinny pedal. I got a turn here too. By the Taco Bell. There's a Giorgio's Pizza up the street too. And the Zeppi's Pizza over here. Nice Dodge Challenger there. A nice Mexican restaurant over here that we like going to a lot. Whenever we go there, the girls ask if we can go to Mexico for dinner, and that's what they mean. I mean El Patron. And then along with the food thoughts, and yes, you can tell I'm hungry. Got a Mr. Heroes over here. I don't think we'll get to it, but up the road a little ways on the right, you got a Wendy's. Oh, and over on that other road that we were just on before, there's also a Dairy Queen on that road too. Kids like going there for, obviously, for ice cream type of desserty things, but I like going there for the chili dogs. I don't trust them, so and run. The Paul Abdul on now, straight up. Okay, guys, I'm gonna park it here, cut y'all loose, and I'll catch up with you when I come back out. Okay, everybody, off we go. They could not exchange the part right now. They're warrantying the part, and they gave me a receipt to come back and pick it up in about 2.5 hours. They should have it. So now I did get a bulb that's supposed to work on Mrs. Motomattman's bike. Her turn signal and her horn stopped working. I had replaced the horn on my sporty BMW. Replaced the horn on my sporty. The horn worked, but at one point in time I was chroming everything and got a chrome horn for it. Just creep up in front of the white line. Hate taking off on that line. But anyway, I got a chrome Harley horn, an actual Harley Davidson horn. Put that on in place of the plain black horn. Oh, Willie's. So I keep all the stuff that I take off the bike. I see a lot of people putting it on eBay or Facebook and whatnot and selling their stuff, but I have different like little plastic tubs that I keep everything in and store it away. Come on, dude. So I pulled that out and replaced her horn and fixed that. It wasn't an electrical problem, which was good news. And her left turn signal wasn't working. That's why I said put the horn on, and it worked. So luckily it wasn't an electrical problem. It was a fear, considering that the left turn signal wasn't working and the horn wasn't working, and both of those are in the same place, the same side on the bike. So the horn worked. The turn signal, the left turn signal, the front turn signal lights up solid. The rear one didn't come on at all. So I was assuming it was a bulb anyway, but I took my little tester out there and tested it, and yeah, it was getting power to the socket, so it's got to be the bulb. They didn't have the actual bulb that goes in there, so they gave me another bulb that, oh, this should work. So we're going to try that and see if it should work or it does work. So I at least got that, so I can take care of that when I get home. And then I got to go back out and pick up the part for the car that hopefully will take care of that. I think what I'll do is, I think I might take the Sporty out. I don't know. Thinking about it. May do that when I go back out. Feeling a whole lot here lately like I did a whole bunch of years ago when all I had was a bike. Having to figure out how I'm gonna pick up everything. Now, if all I had was a bike now, I'd definitely have to get a bigger tank bag than the tank bag I've been using, because that tank bag just wouldn't cut it. But anywho, gives me a good excuse for some rides. Even if it is just up and down the same daggum roads over and over and over again. And there's that brown car that I still don't know what the hell it is. It's still sitting there for sale. And the hillbilly drive-thru is still up and operating at King Cone. But anyway, heading home. Probably just gonna cut y'all loose now. Ain't got a whole lot to talk about, other than it's a fabulous day. I got Prince jamming in my helmet right now. Like I said, I got the iHeartRadio 80s channel going on the phone into my Sena. But as you can see, bikes everywhere. So anyway, I'll cut y'all loose. Hope y'all have had a great weekend. I'll probably talk at you again on my way back into Chardon on the Sporty to pick up the part. motomattman again. And again, we're heading into Chardon, or as I sometimes call it, Chardon, to make it sound a little bit more upscale than hillbilly town that it is. But anyway, I'm on my way back to pick up the part for my Taurus that they had to order. The one that I was replacing because it was defective. We're on our way back in to pick it up. And if you saw my previous video where I went there to try to exchange the part, I was on Old Red. And Old Red is my 1997 BFR 750. And I mentioned at that time that when I went back, I would probably take the Sporty. Well, that is exactly what we're doing. We're taking the Sporty. Let it stretch its legs a little bit. And as always, whenever I hop on the Sporty, I've got to remind myself of where everything is on the Sporty. And get used to the shifting and all of that stuff all over again. I don't know what the deal is. I'm really comfortable on the Sporty, but everything isn't as natural, let's say, as it is on the VFR or it is on the Maxim. Now, it's kind of understandable. Now, it takes me a few minutes to get used to the Maxim again, too, because I don't ride it as much as I used to. But I know where everything is and everything. The only problem I have with the Maxim is occasionally I have a little bit of an issue reminding myself or remembering that it does not have second gear, and that I have to shift up through it. So sometimes it sounds like I miss a shift on the Maxim. It's not that I miss a shift, it's that I'm shifting from first to second, and second isn't there. But sometimes it takes me a minute to remember that. But the Maxim, you would expect that I would be comfortable on it. I've had the bike since 1990, 91, somewhere along in there. I mean, so I've had it for quite a while, and I've ridden it quite a bit. It doesn't get ridden nearly as much anymore, mainly because right now it needs a new rear tire. And as I've spoken before, with the pandemic, it seems like everything that has four wheels on it that we own has decided that it's going to have some kind of problem. So the Maxim's on the rear tires on the back burner again, and it's not a 5-minute job or less like it is on the VFR to replace the tire, because it's shaft drive, it's got a rear drum brake. I mean, there's a little bit more to it. But anyway, in the VFR, it has always just felt comfortable. It's very similar to all of the bikes that I rode growing up. I won't say growing up, but I rode in my 20s and 30s and whatnot. So, you know, most everything that I've ever ridden is really, to be honest with you, been, other than the Sportsters and a couple of times taking demo rides and whatnot, have always been Japanese bikes. And they're all set up about the same. I mean, they all have their little things that are a little bit different from one another, but for the most part, they're all the same. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm not going to complain that I have to keep riding back and forth to Chardon with parts for the Taurus. I wish the Taurus was running, granted. But these rides back and forth have been great because I'm getting out and getting a ride, and I have an excuse. Not that I really need an excuse, but I do have one built in for why I'm up and down the road and up and down the road and up and down the road. After all, this will be my 4th trip into Chardon to auto parts stores on the bikes trying to deal with the same issue with the Taurus. Hopefully this is the last. Well, it's probably the last for right now, no matter what, because the mechanic opens up tomorrow. So if this doesn't fix the problem, I'm just going to schedule an appointment to run it down the road. The mechanic that we use is about a block and a half, maybe 2 blocks away. It's not very far. Nothing coming. Off we go into the wild blue yonder. Anywho, we're again rocking to iHeartRadio's 80s channel as we make our little trip to Chardon. It takes me back, to be honest with you, to a time with little to no cares in the world. The main concern back in the 80s was gas money and beer money, and was it going to rain or not. It was a time spent on the strip in Virginia Beach this time of year. To be perfectly honest with you, most weeks it was spinning all the time that I was not working at the strip, 7 days a week, hanging out with my buddies who also rode. It was a time of me having my GPZ 900, otherwise known as a 900 Ninja. For those of you unfamiliar with the GPZ 900 and what it actually is, you've seen one probably a bunch of times, just did not know that you were seeing one. Mine was a 1986. It is the same bike that Tom Cruise rode in Top Gun. And I got the bike before Top Gun came out. The bike was later stolen. It was chained to, or with a kryptonite lock, you know, one that you can't break into, can't steal anything, can't pick it, all of that stuff. Nope, you probably cannot without a torch. But my bike was stolen when it was locked up with a kryptonite lock. And no, they did not take a torch down to the strip in Virginia Beach and torch the lock. That would be kind of obvious. What happened is we were all hanging out and whatnot, and went and consumed a few too many adult beverages. So I left my bike locked with a kryptonite lock to a parking meter, and then went and crashed at a buddy's house. And when I came back the next morning to retrieve my beloved GPZ 900, it was gone. What they had done was they hadn't cut the lock, they pulled the parking meter out of the ground. Yes. Apparently they wiggled the parking meter back and forth enough times that it came loose out of the concrete, and they pulled the parking meter out of the ground. But anyway, that took me from a GPZ 900 to a Suzuki SP200. Insurance paid for the bike, but would not insure me for another sport bike. So I ended up on a dual purpose, which was a cool bike anyway. Actually, to be honest with you, there are a lot of times when I wish I still had that. A lot of times you hear me talk about the fact that I would like to have a dual purpose in the wintertime, because I'd be able to not get up and down my driveway in the snow, but I could ride alongside the driveway in the yard. But I took that bike and eventually ended up putting street tires on it and turned it into what we now would consider to be a supermoto. At that time, nobody knew what a supermoto was. They didn't really exist. A lot of people thought there was something wrong with me. I'd lost my mind because I put street tires on what they consider to be a dirt bike. But it allowed me, not on the highway obviously, but it allowed me on the back roads to better be able to keep up with my buddies who were still on sport bikes. It also allowed me to be able to do some hooligan stuff that they couldn't. Light turned green. Ooh, I'd forgotten that it was supposed to storm later today. Let's just hope we make it before the storm. But anyway, that little SP drove me all over the place. I rode the living daylights out of that bike. It became my main vehicle, my main transportation. Which made little things difficult. You know, kind of hard to go and pick up your groceries, or at that point in time I lived in an apartment that had no laundry facilities in the apartment. Taking your laundry to the laundromat was an experience. Having to bungee cord everything on the back of the seat. And things like picking up a pizza, stuff like that, made it tough. But I rode that thing and rode that thing, and I don't mean little short rides. I mean I commuted 45 minutes each way to work and back every day on the highway on that sucker. Okay, here we are, back to O'Reilly Auto Parts. Hopefully they have my part. I will catch up with y'all when I get back on, and we'll find out together. That's a handicap. That kind of sucks. Okay, it started to sprinkle, drizzle. Hopefully it doesn't downpour. We're supposed to get storms this evening, like I mentioned before. But I am now off to Advance because the part that was supposed to get sent in did not make it here. So they refunded me the money, and now I can go down to Advance Auto Parts and try to get the part, and then I can ride home in the pouring down damn rain. This is kind of aggravating. But it is what it is. And that is life in the fast lane. Cut through the CVS parking lot here. Okay, again, I will catch up with you guys after I leave here. They said they had it. We shall see. Alrighty. Have a good one. Okay, off we go. Alrighty. Sense of urgency, maybe. Just stroll. Just stroll. You know, I understand that you gotta stop for pedestrians in the crosswalk, but that doesn't mean that the pedestrians need to slow down their walk. Sense of urgency sometimes, people. Sense of urgency. Anyway, okay, we've left now Advanced Auto Parts, and we have, hopefully, the part. And we get to cruise up to the red light. Now green. Okay, long skinny paddle. Long skinny paddle. Okay. Now we head on back, and we're going to hit every red light in Chardon. As I'm riding around, Mrs. Motomattman and the kids decided that they weren't going to do a whole lot of work around the house today, because I'm running back and forth trying to get this silly part. When I left, they were laying out in the backyard with what we call the softball speaker. It's a great big Bluetooth speaker. I guess the speaker itself is about the same diameter as like a volleyball, or somewhere in between the size of a volleyball and a basketball. But they had the tunes pumping, and they were laying out in their bathing suits trying to get some sun, with a 6-year-old running around saying she wanted to have a water gun fight. While I was at home the last time, I went ahead and took some steaks and seasoned them up with some garlic and sea salt and then some soy sauce, and have them marinating in that in the fridge. The hope was to possibly be able to cook them out on the grill before it rains. And hopefully be able to get the part on the car too, and see if that fixes the issue. Because if it doesn't fix the issue, then we got to make plans to get the car down to the mechanic to get it fixed. Now, on a side note, the bar and mirrors that I put on my Sporty, I'm really liking. With each time that I ride it, I like them better than I did before. So that's a little info for you guys, especially those of you that were curious about the bar end mirrors. Mrs. motomattman had a lot of questions about when she flipped her mirrors down below the bars down here, how that was working out, and was she able to see. She seems to like them a lot. It's taken her a little bit longer to get used to having them down below instead of up top than it has been for me to get used to the bar end mirrors. But she wasn't really wanting the bar end mirrors because, as you can see, they stick out. She's worried that there'd be an issue with them sticking out. I don't know. Personal preference kind of deal, I guess. I like them. There's very, very little vibration at all in them. A whole lot less vibration than I had when the mirrors were up top here, where the factory put them. Now, as far as the mirrors dangling down below, it is something that Harley does with Sportsters anyway. They put them down there from the factory. The 48 comes to mind as one that they put the mirrors down below. So you got to figure if it is an issue. Some people mentioned that they thought it might be a safety hazard having them down there. Well, in order for them to stick the mirrors down there, Harley had to do research and realize that they were safe. But not only that, but you also have, you know, the federal regulations and state and local regulations, and it had to meet, you know, the whole thing has to meet or exceed those regulations in order for them to do that. And apparently it did, otherwise they couldn't have done that as a factory deal. Okay, Civic, go around. You can go around. I'm not sitting here. I'm going around. As I said before, a lot of bikes out today. A lot of bikes out today. I will put both feet down here. Normally I would just California stop it, but since I just passed the deputy sheriff, I think we'll follow the letter of the law for that one. Anywho, looks like, fingers crossed, looks like we may beat the rain if it comes. It just had a little bit of spitting on us, thank goodness, because I have other options for jackets to wear, and I chose the one that's the least waterproof or water resistant. Earlier today I had the Alpine Stars jacket on. I had it on yesterday, I do believe. Yeah, I wore it yesterday. On Saturday, when I first started making my rides back and forth to Chardon trying to fix the car, I wore my red and black jacket. I think it's a Viking Cycle jacket. It's a mesh jacket that is not as breathable as this jacket, and it's supposed to be, provided that you have the gussets zipped up that allow airflow in, it's supposed to be, you know, a waterproof jacket. I have not tried it out in the rain, nor is it something that, I'll be perfectly honest with you, that I'm anxious to have to try it in the rain. But it's probably the smarter jacket to be wearing if they're calling for rain. But hey, not always using my noggin for something other than a hat rack. this was one of those cases. But is what it is. Wow, those are some bright LEDs, boy. Tell you what. Yeah, let's not. What the fuck? I'll have to edit that out. Sorry, guys. I just get really aggravated. You know? For those out there that think you're better than anybody else because you're on a bagger, get a grip, get a life. It's not the case. And just because somebody's on a Sportster doesn't mean that they just started riding. It doesn't mean that they're a chick. I'm really tired of this crap that people think that they're better than somebody else because of the bike that they're on. You don't know what I got in my garage. You don't know why I'm riding a Sportster. Like the story that I told before where my 900 Ninja was stolen and I was on an SP200. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I didn't have anybody treat me any differently because I was on a dirt bike on the street. This is garbage. Sorry to go off like that, but I'm getting really tired of it. Anyway, I hope you like what you saw. If you did, make sure you click the like and subscribe button, punch that bell so you get notifications whenever I upload any new content. If you're able to get out on twos, make sure you keep the shiny side up and the rubber side down, and have a great day. And until next time, see ya!